Thank you so much for taking us to a very different platform. Now, I'd like to call upon His Grace Prahlad Prabhu to brief us about His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj. But before that, I'd like to talk about him a little bit. Sri Prahlad Prabhu is from Sydney. He has been a lead singer and is often found with a band featuring the harmonium, rhythmic bass, drums, guitar, hand cymbals, and vocal harmonics. A natural music talent, at age 12, he won a recording contract with record giant EMI, releasing 2 singles and an album entitled Through the Eyes of a Child. Sri Prahlad Prabhu has performed in traditional Indian as well as rock and reggae styles before audiences of tens and thousands.
Welcome to this engagement this evening. We have the great privilege of hearing this beautiful chanting with Bada Haridas, and very soon we'll hear a discourse, an illumination by Indradumna Swami Maharaj. So I'll tell you a little bit about our speaker. He comes from the United States of America, California, San Francisco, California. And from a very young age, he was a spiritual seeker, searching for happiness, searching for a deeper meaning to life. And initially, as people in California do, he sought that through surfing the waves of the coast, the Pacific coast of California. He sought that through various means, and eventually he joined the American Marines, and so he was also in the Marine Corps for a period, but then quit the Marines as a conscientious objector, because he saw all the violence associated there. Initially he thought it was about promoting democracy and good and freedom in the world, but at what cost? And so he left the Marines as a conscientious objector, which then in the 1960s led to his meeting with his spiritual teacher, his spiritual master, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And so very quickly he took up the teachings of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. They finally gave him answers to the questions that he had been asking all his life, questions about happiness and what real happiness is, because material happiness tends to fade very quickly. And he was so inspired by these teachings, he wanted to share them with others, and so at the request of his teacher, his guru, he went to Europe, where he helped his spiritual master establish or spread those teachings in France and Italy. Through the 1980s, he was involved with sharing these teachings in the USSR, which at the time was a communist state. So he would go there incognito, wearing a wig and a 3-piece suit, and he would share these teachings across the USSR, traveling as a tourist, but really as a spiritual ambassador. Since 1979, he has been a monk, that is a sannyasi. He took sannyas at a young age, and ever since has been traveling around the world. So since the fall of the Iron Curtain, he continues to travel extensively in the former Soviet Union. He travels extensively through Eastern Europe, Africa. He's famous for traveling and sharing the teachings of the Gita in the Amazon jungles and in Africa, particularly South Africa, where he continues to visit each year and organize large festivals. So he's known internationally for his joyous kirtan. We'll get to hear some of that later on. For his very illuminating, enlightening discourses, and for organizing festivals where he shares this spiritual culture in a very joyous and a very festive, a very happy way. So one of his key messages is that spiritual life is not something reclusive. It doesn't have to be something reclusive like an ascetic, renouncing the world and going away from the world, but rather it can be and should be something that is very joyful, that is very blissful, that is very colorful, that should involve people of all walks of life, of all stations in life, people of all colors and situations coming together as brothers and sisters in a united spiritual unity of culture. So culture may be diverse, but we all have so much in common that can be celebrated together, and that is our spiritual unity. And so it is a great pleasure for us, a great honor for us to be here. Actually, Indradyumna Swami is a very sought after speaker and teacher around the world. People are very eager to invite him to different countries, and we are very fortunate this evening that he is here in Manipal. And so we request you all, once we have the microphone ready, we will request you all to give him a very, very warm welcome. Indradyumna Swami Maharaj.
Om Agyan Timirandasya Ginangana Shalakaya Chaksur Militam Jena Tasmai Si Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Shwayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadantishva Padantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor, a privilege to be here this evening in such an august assembly of professors and teachers, especially. Thank you for coming, gentlemen. And their students as well, to share with you specifically this evening some of the wisdom of your Bhagavad Gita. Why do we say your Bhagavad Gita? Because by his infinite compassion, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, chose to come to this particular part of the world, to Bharat, to India, to speak this wisdom to you. Actually, we have adopted this culture. We are your adopted sons and daughters, but rightfully so, because we understand that in the Gita, Krishna says that he is the seed-giving father of all living entities. Krishna never says that he is a Hindu god, that he is an Indian god. He declares very boldly, and he has the right to do so, because he is the one Supreme Lord, that he is the seed-giving father of all living entities. This means that anyone who is born on this planet is either a son or a daughter of God, of Krishna. So it is not surprising that this message of the Gita, the Lord's own words, because Gita, Bhagavad Gita translated from Sanskrit means the song of God. This song of God, this wisdom contained in 700 verses in Gita, is now being sung throughout the entire world. It took some time because Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago. That's understood. But in cosmic time, it's nothing but a second. So when Krishna appeared on this planet 5,000 years ago to speak the Gita, he intended it to be for the whole world. And he didn't mean it to be just for the people 5,000 years ago. Because this is absolute truth. Relative truth is relative. It's relative to the particular time, place, and circumstance. But absolute truth is valid in the past, 5,000 years ago. It's valid now, and it will be valid 5 million years from now. It is meant for every human being on this planet of the earth. So by the grace of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who translated and wrote purports to this book, it is now available in all the major languages of the world. And that is why, to many people's surprise here in India, you see white sadhus and black sadhus and brown sadhus and yellow sadhus all over this planet. There's actually, we use the term, a Hare Krishna explosion happening all over the world. Because the whole world is desperate. They are hungry for this spiritual knowledge. For the simple reason that material progress is not all in all, as you are slowly learning now in your country. It is not everything. And the Western countries and Far Eastern countries and Southern countries like Australia, they have come to the point of being saturated with material progress, science and technology, etc., etc., etc. They're hankering for something different. And the beauty of India's culture, is that it has the answers to every single spiritual question a person might pose. This is my experience. I have been practicing Krishna consciousness now for almost 43 years. And as a sannyasi, representing your culture, representing Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, I've had the opportunity to travel to most countries of the world. I've been in most major cities in the world. I've done thousands and thousands of programs like this. And at the end of my discourse, there's naturally questions, and I can say with confidence that I've been able to answer each and every one of those questions to the audience's satisfaction. It has nothing to do with me. I am simply the servant of my Guru Maharaj, who is a representative of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And it's not surprising, because who is the source of knowledge? It is God. And if people want to know God, what better book is there than Bhagavad Gita? With all due respect, most spiritual books, shastras that are available in this world, and I speak with due respect, they're about God. Bhagavad Gita is superior because it is spoken by God. This is the unique feature of Bhagavad Gita. It is spoken by the Lord Himself. So those who are spiritual seekers, those who understand the value of the human form of life, those who understand the ultimate goal of life is to reconnect with God and go back to the kingdom of God, this Gita is very, very important. Who is the ultimate authority on you? You. Perhaps even your wife or your husband doesn't know some inner secrets you keep within the chambers of your heart. You are the best authority on you. So who is the best authority on God, on Bhagavan, on Krishna? It is Krishna. So if one wants to know the science of self-realization, which means to know who I am, who is God, the absolute truth, and what is my intimate connection with Him, this is the perfect book, Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, as I travel through your country, I see that people are gradually losing interest in such teachings as the Bhagavad Gita, the Puranas, the Upanishads, the Itihasas, etc. I flew from Delhi to Mumbai to Bangalore to Mangalore, And I had my Bhagavad Gita, and like an aspiring devotee, I was reading. But I noticed that as soon as the plane took off, there was 4 or 5 newspapers in the pocket in front of each seat. And as soon as the plane took off, everyone's face was deep within the politics of this world. Finances, politics, crime, diplomacy, money. Of course, these things, we have to engage to some degree in these things, of course. But the peculiar thing was that once they finished one newspaper, they put it down and they took another newspaper out, a different company, and a third and a fourth. I think you have 4 or 5 national newspapers, am I correct? And the people were reading the same news over and over, and this is called Puna Punas Charvita Charvananam, chewing the chewed. And then what did they do? As the plane was landing, they were throwing away. So do you throw something away that is valuable? No. I walked off the plane with my Bhagavad Gita when I saw the crumpled newspaper. So this is the state of affairs now, to some degree, in this great country of India, which is meant to lead the world in spiritual enlightenment. That is the duty of your country. As the West is leading us in science and technology, and fine, I have no complaints. I'm wearing a watch. I'm using a microphone. There's lights. I came here in a car. Not against these things, as long as we don't abuse them. But this message must be spread around the world. Because again, people are coming to India to hear the message of the Gita and to see the people practicing it. So many boys and girls from Manipal and Mangalore are flying to where I was